I will be the first to admit that Americans are very self centered when it comes to thinking about their place in the world. It's very much encouraged by our schools. I grew up in a classroom where you had to say the Pledge of Allegiance every morning. What got me thinking about this is being an international student and how there are some challenges that automatically present beyond the obvious ones, but nobody really discusses it or even prepares you. But what really got me thinking about being an international student is the Starbucks Ube Latte, brought to you by, no, I'm just kidding. I'm not sponsored in any way, but I'm Filipino. So when I saw this release, I was like, well, I have to try everything that's ube. If it's your first time here, howdy. I'm Xanthe, the Feral Academic, and welcome to the Feral Academic Movement, where we are feral, honest, and anti-bullshit. All right, I'm a Filipino American studying in the UK. Am I embarrassed to say that I, at some point when I was younger, did not know the difference between England and the UK and London? I have corrected myself since then, and now I know that Northern Ireland is not the same as Ireland. That brings me to my first thing. You should research and know information about the history and background of where you are going. The biggest thing that surprised me is that because I speak English, I'm a native speaker, that I was going to be fine. And it would just be like, oh, well, it's just like America, except with like a different accent. And I know how ignorant that sounds. I'm very much simplifying. I would say that an American versus a British person, stereotypically, we would think, oh, wow, they're very like put together. And that's why they always cast British people in all these like high society roles. And then meanwhile, Americans are like having this country accent. And the biggest challenge for me is that the nuances are extremely different. For example, Americans are extremely direct, unless you're from the South. There's different levels, right? New York is very direct compared to California. But generally speaking, we're very like upfront when we don't like something, when we like something. That's what like my values are, is like clarity and being honest. But I realized that in the UK, their style is very much centered on politeness and nuances in conversation. I don't imagine the average Brit would say, you know what, like, I don't appreciate what you did and you need to get out of my face. That's a very American response if somebody was really ticked off. A British person might say, well, that was unfortunate that we had that experience. I hope you move on. Like, it's very controlled. Which is fine. Like, these are two very different cultures. However, this is also because I'm neurodivergent. I don't do subtlety well. So on top of being an American and also being neurodivergent, I value very crystal clear communication. And I might not understand when yes, they really mean no. Oh, actually, I didn't even plan this, to be honest, but I'm wearing my ADHD love shirt. Neurodivergent couple that explains the challenges of ADHD and stuff. What if you're not lazy? What does it say? Useless or a loser? Because a lot of people who are neurodivergent, they feel this way because of the way society treats us. Our differences are wrong. But actually, that's kind of fitting for this topic, because when you're international, you tend to feel like you are the problem. And that happened with my other friend, where she was visiting and she was like, I'm doing everything wrong. The Brits hate me. And I'm like, the UK does not hate you. Those people that you met are just a small group out of the entire world. It's just understanding their values and the ways they conflict with yours and trying to meet in the middle. Because at the end of the day, you are in their country. And you have to recognize that you cannot just change everyone's mind just because you're around. Another thing is food. I know that the UK has a very specific reputation in how they lack flavor. When I used to go to counseling, the counselor said that that was one of the biggest things that came up, the adjustment to the food here. I get it because food is such a source of comfort for everyone. You want to feel happy about what's going into your stomach. And there's a lot of Chinese students here. Chinese food is severely different from British food. Make sure you're aware of what the food culture is like at the university you're attending. And if there's anything that you miss, make sure to bring it with you. Coffee, snacks, junk food. We have full freaking aisles of just junk food, but also enjoy the new area. At least here, it's very common to have really shitty restaurants because they're like, well, they're students. They're mostly drunk and they have low standards and they'll just eat whatever's nearby them. That's what they think. Right? I didn't say that. They thought it. You'll need to like find out from the locals and the good discounts and deals. Dating. I already went through this in detail in my other video. I will touch on it. There's a lot of like frustration between international students because their dating cultures are so different. For example, in the UK, apparently the norm is that if you're going on multiple dates together, it's an unspoken assumption that you guys are exclusive versus Scandinavia, where they tend to be casual at the beginning and even sleep with each other. And that doesn't mean a thing. And it's normal. You really have to be doing your research about what the people are like. I'm nearly done with the ube vanilla matcha latte, and I feel like it gets worse. It's not like it would offend my ancestors or anything. Well, they tried. They tried. At least there was some representation. I know I'm getting off topic. Welcome to ADHD. The new popularity of ube is really cool because it's like one of my favorite flavors ever. Filipinos love our ube. But they're also not like sharing what culture it comes from, so they'll just have it on the sign. But you're not mentioning that it comes from the Philippines. This is going to be my last one because speaking of food, I am getting weak and hungry despite the flavorless ube latte. Friendship circles. A lot of you international students are trying to be keeping to yourself, or you stick with your group. Like, oh, here's a bunch of Indian students. Let me just stay with Indians and never talk to anyone else. I get the sense of community is very important. But however, you are limiting yourself and you are limiting yourself to like different people of different backgrounds. You meet so many people who have different experiences than you. But if you're always sticking to the same people, it doesn't even have to do with background. I have like a lot of straight friends that don't engage with like queer people or queer communities. And it's kind of like, well, I have questions about it. There are so like not everyone is there whole like wearing a rainbow shirt. I assure you that you already know someone who is queer. And if you want to learn more about a certain community, then join those groups. Join an LGBTQ book club. Attend a screening about a trans performer. Go see a documentary screening. What I'm trying to say is that you're just limiting yourself. You can't wait for things to come to you. Go to these international meetups. There's sometimes these language cafes, I think, at least in this university. Don't stick to your comfort zone. I will not throw people under the bus because I'll just throw you under like a Mini Cooper. I understand the fear that comes with like being in a country that is not your native language and you feel so insecure and awkward. And when you do say something, people misunderstand you and you can't like pull those deep words and it comes out wrong. It doesn't sound as nuanced and it can come out sounding mean. Like you say, I don't like your shirt. But what you really meant was, I think that shirt looks great on you would not look good on me. And it's like if you're not a native English speaker, you're not going to know how to say that properly. We should have compassion for how people speak. Always ask for clarification if something offends you. Don't assume the worst. That reminds me of that super funny Key and Peele sketch. Key is like texting and he's like, you want to hang out? And then Peele's like, sure. And then Peele's like, sure? What do you mean sure? He doesn't want to. Like, there's something that's literally lost in translation. I had this conversation with multiple Chinese friends. I was like, well, now I just don't feel like talking to people at all because I feel like I'm going to say something wrong. And she said, I really appreciate you for never like making fun of me or judging me, or you do correct me, but it's in a nice way. That means a lot to international students. So if you have friends that are not the native speakers of your language in your country, have compassion and bring it up. Be like, hey, if you notice like a moment where they're struggling, that's the perfect time to be like, hey, you don't feel like you have to say everything perfectly, because I get it. On the flip side, try your best. I know it's scary if you are the non-native speaker, especially when you're tired. It's like you don't want to do all these mental jumping through hoops and you're like, I just want to not think anymore. Just balance it. When you do have energy, don't let fear hold you back. At the end of the day, challenge yourself, but don't overwhelm yourself. Oh, and then actually, so this is another thing. Unfortunately, people will take advantage or try to take advantage of you when they find out you're international, taking advantage in the way of like, she doesn't know what rights she has or what she can advocate for because she's not from here, so I can kind of manipulate the situation. You have to be careful of that. You need to really educate yourself on what the policies are and what's available to you, because no one is going to help you. Even if they're your friend, they're just going to be too busy to teach you the basics of what it's like to live here. Oh, so this is a little bit dark. Okay, we're going to talk about men. So at least here, there are a lot of men who prey on Chinese women students. It is really, really fucked up. I know my parents don't like me to cuss, but I'm trying to just speak what I feel. So sorry, mom and dad. There's not a better way to describe like how awful that these young women are trying to already explore a new country, and here comes along some predatory man trying to hit on them and stuff. And it happens so much, so bad and so common, even with the Uber drivers. There is a culture here where they expect these international students or women should be trying to have conversations with the Uber driver, or they get so offended if the woman doesn't want to communicate with him. It doesn't make people feel safe when they're already in a different country. These are things that need to be addressed in some kind of university international orientation. I know there might be resistance because it makes the university look like they're accepting this behavior. Where are the orientations for these men? Do not do this. Instead of throwing it under the rug, be aware that there are predators and creepy people who will take advantage or try to. Make sure you know what you can do if someone tries to and where you can report it. If you want to do it anonymously, you can do that as well. There are systems in place, so take care of yourself as well. I'm going to wrap it up here so I can do my PhD work. I hope this was helpful. If you're an international student, hang in there, find a support system, and also challenge yourself and take care of yourself. If you are a native speaker of country, look out for the international student. Try and understand where they're coming from and be patient and kind to them and offer them resources that they do not know they have. That is all for today. I wish you a lovely morning, afternoon, or night. Please subscribe if you found this helpful. Put that thumbs up as well. Sending you love, hugs, and legal drugs. I will see you in the next video. Bye!